Welcome to Conversations in the Coop. I'm your host, Trinity Director of Athletics, Drew Galbraith. It's my pleasure to be joined today by a member of Trinity's women's rowing team, Zoë Tiffin. Zoë, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, Zoë, it's that transitional time of year. We're just getting into the season, or the real competitive race season after a fall season of head races, and then you take some time off, do a lot of winter training, and now the team gets back in the boat, back in the water. So, how's that been? Has the team come back ready and energized, as energized as it left the fall?
Yeah, I think the team is doing really well. We just had our first 2K this morning, which was definitely a shock to the system, just being up that early and doing such an intense piece. But I think everyone did really well and put their best foot forward and just gave it their all, which I think is the best thing that you could hope for. And so I think everyone is very excited just to continue progressing throughout the season.
So, do you get that kind of euphoric rush being on the water, whether it's early in the morning or late in the afternoon when the Connecticut's still and things are good, or is rowing about more than that for you? Because some people describe that as the ultimate thrill.
I think I really like the team aspect of rowing, and I love being on the water. I kind of just zone out and just look around and just try to escape everything, which I think is definitely something that you can't always do in most sports, but I really enjoy it personally. So I feel like that's kind of where I get my euphoric time, is just being on the water and just being able to forget about everything else.
So you grew up in Wisconsin, in
Yes.
Milwaukee, and obviously the winters go a little bit longer there than they do on the East Coast and certainly in Connecticut. So talk about your journey to rowing, or maybe your journey through sport to rowing, and why this has been a fit for you.
Yeah, so I started competitively swimming when I was in first grade and did it all the way up through, my mom had me do high school fall of my freshman year, and so I did that, and then I started doing rowing in middle school, but it was just 2 days a week and it was pretty light. All the kids would take the boat down together because it does weigh a lot, so you have 30 middle schoolers holding a boat, which is kind of crazy because now it's 8 people max, really. And then I joined winter of my freshman year, which definitely was a shock. I was not expecting it. I really thought, oh, I'm joining an easier sport than swimming, I'm going to be able to relax, and that was not the case. The first time I ever was really on the erg in high school, I thought that the erg was broken because I was pulling such terrible times. I was like, I think my erg is broken, I might need to switch, but no, I just was really bad. But I just kept going through it. I really liked my team, and I definitely had hard times. I was like, wow, this is so painful, I don't know why I'm doing this. But then at the end of winter, I was like, no, I'm going to do spring because I put in so much time. And then we did really well my freshman year spring, and then we have summer season, and for us, my club in high school, we'd go out to the lake and we'd jump in and go swimming, so it was just really fun. Mm-hmm. And then you just keep going, and it's just kind of been an endless cycle from there.
So if you think about that, I mean, you talked about kind of seeing that workload aspect of it the first winter that you were just doing erg work. What kind of drives you? Is it the relationships that you build along the way? Is it that team spirit? Because there's a lot of other things you could do other than the amount of the volume of work that you have to put in at rowing. And there's no shortcuts, right? You can't just oh, I'm just going to skip some training and go out and race. You have to put in the work to have success in races. So what keeps you going?
I'm definitely really competitive, so I don't want to lose, so that's kind of part of it. But also just the whole team part. I've definitely just made so many friends through it. My best friends from high school were all on the rowing team, and they're still my best friends at home today. So I think just the connections and having a family outside of just my school friends, kind of. I mean, yes, I still go to school with all of them, but it's 2 different groups that I just feel really connected with, and I have the ability to hang out with them and just make memories from it are so important to me. So I feel that just kind of keeps me going.
So as you're getting to the end of high school, were you all set and committed to Trinity before the pandemic hit, or was it you had visited and then the pandemic hits and now you're making a college choice?
I visited before the pandemic hit, thankfully, but I really had no clue where I wanted to go to college. My idea was really D1 rowing or D1 not rowing.
Mhm.
So I had visited like some D1 schools and I like kind of liked them, but nothing really seemed to fit. And then I really liked my experience at Trinity. I thought it was a really fun environment, and I never thought about D3. Just in the Midwest, didn't really even know what Trinity was. Fully just Googled schools, and that's how I found it. But in the end, once the pandemic hit, I ended up having like on our kitchen door sticky notes from 3 different schools, and was just like flipping coins and deciding from there. So it was kind of just a whim. But I'm happy with my choice.
And it worked out.
Yeah,
and it worked out.
I'm so happy.
So, so when you get here and you know, kind of the rowing experience, I think there's so many people who show up on a college rowing team. Some who have rowed just a little bit. Some who have an experience like you, where they've been in a club since middle school and rowed really competitively through high school. So, how was that adjustment from high school and club boats to college, and did it meet your expectations early on?
I definitely think since I started in COVID, it was very odd. We were only in singles, and we still had to wear our masks, even though we're on the river, like so far away from each other. And I never sculled in high school because our river is so busy that it just like we weren't allowed to.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a big transition, and then we just kept going into like code red, and then we wouldn't have practice.
Right.
So I think that really my college rowing experience didn't start until sophomore year when we were all back together. And by that time, I think there was enough of like a break, so I didn't really know what to expect. And then we also had a new coach, but I think just everyone working together and just being able to like continue progressing. I think the team has definitely gotten a lot more competitive and a lot faster over the last few years, which is just really exciting to see from my point of view.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, it's kind of a sea change from where the team was or was projected to be your first year to, you know, last spring, the last race of the year. A team, has a great pull and like really knocking on the door of NCAA is a place where a lot of people associated with Trinity rowing think Trinity should be. Just talk about that metamorphosis and what you saw, or maybe some of the change you see in the team.
Yeah, I think definitely like the team environment has gotten a lot more competitive. I know like when my sophomore year, training was kind of like everyone was doing it, but there wasn't so much like talk about it all. And now everyone is definitely like communicating all the time. We have like training plans that we have to do over winter, and there's like constant chatter around the team, and like we'll text in the group chat, like sending pictures, sending funny things. So I think it's bringing joy to the little things, and like staying connected when everyone's like apart is kind of a huge part of how we've been able to like progress and get faster over the last few years. But also I think everyone wants to do better for everyone else on the team. At least I personally do. Like I don't want to let anyone on the team down. So like I want to keep getting faster so that as a boat and as like a team we continue to get faster. So I think just the dynamic of the team has been like, we're a team, you're going to work together, and everyone putting in the effort like helps each other. So it's not a lone sport at all.
And so as a leader, I'm sure there are times where there's a team member who just doesn't feel like they have it that day, or in a set they just don't feel it. So what are the things that you've picked up along the way to be able to lead a group of women in like, we can do this and we can get through this together?
Yeah, I definitely think a huge part of it is rowing is so mental, and so understanding that you have bad days and not every day can be like perfect. You can't PR on every piece either. And so I think that I've learned throughout my time rowing is just trying to like forget that piece or forget that day and just think of next time or the next piece as like something totally new. Like just trying to mentally like block out each thing and just like take it one piece at a time, one step at a time is really helpful as just like what you have to do in order to be able to be successful.
So we can talk in really flowery terms about the team dynamics of rowing, but at the end of the day, coaches have to make choices and have to put 8 people and a coxswain in the first boat, and 8 people and a coxswain in the second boat, and so on and so forth. You know, talk about those dynamics as a highly competitive person, also as a team leader, also as someone who wants to support your teammates and friends. How does that all play out when you get into things like seat racing, where you're literally putting people in and out of boats to see which one is faster?
Yeah.
How does that play out?
It's definitely a hard time. I know in the past few years, spring break has been and like Trinity days has been a ton of times that we've just been seat racing, just constantly switching people. Like we'll do a piece, switch someone, do a piece, switch people, and it's just back and forth. And it's definitely mentally just really challenging because conditions are changing all the time. So even if you lost a piece, you technically the boat might have gone faster.
Right.
So you're still making an impact. So I think trying to understand that it's not like a strict science. Like just because your boat did faster on it, that boat could have already won the first one, but maybe went slower this one. So I think trying to understand that you never really know what's happening, and everyone has their days and doesn't have their days, which is gonna happen on like race day and on sea racing day. But I think a huge part of it is just trying to stay connected as a team, and like when you finish, like even if you don't make the boat, or if you're not in the spot that you want to be in the boat, you know that where you are is just going to better the team. And I think that's really something that I've tried to like understand and like know about, and just being like, it's okay if I'm not in this certain spot, because it's just best for the team. And so I'm like trusting people and trusting my team to be able to do their best and help along the way is what helps me out.
I mean, it's a common theme, right? Everybody who's been in a crew has gone through it at some point. Did it take you, almost like till now or till your sophomore, junior year to start to like have that perspective? Because it's an amazing perspective you just shared, and it's a lot easier to say it outside of the context of being in a boathouse and understanding that maybe you moved to a different seat that you didn't think you should be in. So how did you come to that, or was it just experience and patience?
I think it took experience, but my sophomore year of high school, one of my like really close friends and I there was one seat left in our top 8 for Head of the Charles. Our team would go there, and we seat raced every day for an entire like fall season, and it was really competitive. Like we both really wanted it, and I ended up getting the spot over her. And she was like so sad, and I felt bad. Like I was like, oh, I shouldn't have it, like you should have it, because you're like, it's my friend, I don't want someone else to like not go. And I just felt really bad that like someone is crying or like upset over it. So I think I've just learned that everyone is working so hard for it, and you just have to be able to like take it. Like when you do win, you have to take it, and also still remember that you have everyone else on your team, that they are cheering for you, but they also are technically competing against you. So I think, and then the next season we were in a boat together. So everyone has their time, and everyone like you come back together. But I think I definitely learned early on, because it was definitely a hard time to be like, wow, we've been doing this all season, and now it's just happened, and I'm like, oh, I feel so bad. But at this point, it happens, and so I mean, we're still really good friends. So. No bridges burned. Yeah, it all worked out. Then we were in a boat together for all of high school.
So, fast forwarding to the current season, we talked about the success the team had at the end of last year, really building towards from going to the San Diego trip in the middle of last season, up through a great ending to the season, and now the team comes into this fall really high aspirations and has done nothing short of kind of seeing yourselves on that path. So, as you head into this final spring of rowing for Trinity, how do you both kind of balance the high expectations and you want kind of the next thing with enjoying the moment?
I've kind of been taking every day just like one at a time. Like today was our first 2K of spring, and so I was like telling one of my friends on the senior, like one of the other seniors, I was like, it's our first 2K, like this is crazy to think about. So I'm trying to just like take every day is like it's the last one, so having fun with that, but also training like hard because it is the last one. So I think that's part of what I'm trying to like stay in my mental game with. But I think it's definitely hard to think about that this is my last season, which is crazy. But I'm really excited just to kind of see what happens, because you never know like how other teams have trained, and you never know like what conditions will happen, if injuries come up. So just trying to keep the team like connected and bonded together, I think is really helpful, and I'm just really excited to see how we do. But there's so much uncertainty, right. You never know.
So how do you, as a leader in the group, how do you keep a healthy sense of urgency? Because for you and the other seniors, it is the last chance at this. But also, when there's the opportunity that this could be a special group, and we could have some really fast boats, how do you kind of keep that sense of urgency that we have to do the work and we have to keep pushing forward without trying to freak everybody out?
I definitely think it's hard, and there's definitely like certain times, and everyone has their own like mental. So like sometimes I'll like go up to someone, I'm like, oh, maybe they're not in the like maybe that wasn't the right way to like phrase something, or I just freaked them out a little bit. So trying to like read people in a sense, and just also understand how they're approaching each practice is really important. But I know like every day when we're in mixed boats or like in a stacked boat, you're still competing against everyone else. So trying to just, I know like if I push harder on this one, then the other boat's going to push harder. So technically everyone's just going to work even harder, and it will just help in the long run. But even though right then I might be like, oh, I'm really tired, it's still, I got to push now, and I know that everyone else in the boat will follow, because that's just how it's going to happen.
One of the hallmarks of Trinity women's rowing is not only the historical success and the national champions in the program, but also the connection to the alumnae and the support they provide. Talk about how that's been kind of beneficial to you as a student, and how you imagine being part of that group going forward.
Yeah, our alumni are definitely amazing. We've been having like twice a year, or like maybe a few more times, meet like lunches with them. Like we have a banquet tomorrow, and we have like an alumni networking kind of event tomorrow, which I'm really excited for. And just, I know that they continuously are communicating with each other. They raced at the head of the Charles, like launched from the same area we were, wearing their Trinity gear, like just seeing them and knowing that they still have everything and still feel so connected and still talk to each other is really cool, because I'm like, wow, that's like an opportunity after I graduate. And they'll even ask, they'll be like, oh, so like you want to race with us after like you graduate and stuff like that. So just being able to know that they are there for after, and even the team, they'll be like, so you're going to come back, right? You're going to keep visiting. And so knowing that like people still want everyone to come back and say hi and like check in on the team is really exciting, because I know like I still look at my high school team, like I want to know how they do. And so I think the same mindset is still like being passed down generation to generation, even on this team. And our alumni are really good. They like helped us buy a launch, and they got us like a new boat this year, which is really exciting, because the boys always have this brand called Empacher, and our alumni bought us the same one. So knowing that we now have like equal opportunities for the same equipment is really exciting.
So as you wrap up at Trinity, what's maybe something you'll remember about Trinity off the water, something fun you do at Trinity off the water that maybe you don't get to do after college, or maybe you don't think you'll get to do after college? Or maybe some of those best Trinity things. Best
Trinity things? On the team or anywhere?
Wherever.
I think it's just being able to like hang out with friends. I mean, the campus is so small in a sense, so like everyone, and just being able to like walk around like when it's nice out, hang out on the quad, and like constantly saying hi to everyone. It's really fun. And then just, I love team breakfast, like after either lift or practice. It's just like everyone woke up so early, we're like basically the only ones there, and it's always just a fun time to just hang out, and it's just, the energy is really fun. Also, because we have to drive to our boathouse, and right now like we're at a reservoir by the airport during spring break, the car ride's like a little longer, so I always like to be like, anyone want to play music? Like what does people want to listen to? And just having like random chit chats about like the craziest, weirdest things are just always so fun to me. I love them.
And you've been a mechanical engineering major at Trinity, and potentially see yourself doing that in the future. So what might that look like for you in the future?
Yeah, I don't know exactly where I'm going to be after I graduate. I've been looking at Engineering Without Borders, but not sure exactly my timeline, especially with the summer, like
Sure.
we're racing in the summer, so hopefully if I make the boat, then continuing on with that, and just don't know when I'll be back. But I want to do water, like wastewater management treatment, and help with pollution in the freshwater systems. So trying to find a job that I like and continue doing that with is really interesting to me. So that's what I'm interested in doing after.
Well, Zoe, we're so excited to see the team racing this spring. Can't wait to see how far you go, because it seems like it's going to be a great season. So
Thank you.
Good luck this season. And
Thanks.
that'll do it for this conversation of the Coop. For all the latest news, scores, and schedules, go to bantamsports.com. You can follow us on social at Bantam Sports. Till next time.